Hi guys, here we go again. So Ed Vaizey, the Tory Peer, was asked about what appears to be a 180-degree turn by brexiteer, former UKIPper and Conservative Minister George Eustice. Ed described it as the insane wing of the Tory Party striking again. Now what Eustice seems to be asking for is that the EU and the UK provide reciprocal visas so that citizens from both sides can work more freely in both places. A bit like freedom of movement. Have a listen to this.
Let's look at this headline in The Observer. We need more EU workers, admits leading Tory brexiteer. George Eustice, the former Environment Secretary, is calling for a reciprocal visa scheme so that under-35s can work across the EU and Britain. He says the current labour shortages are caused by the failure of a post-Brexit immigration policy. Is he right, Ed?
Well, welcome again. We're back with the insane wing of the Conservative Party. You know, they promised us this Brexit was going to be absolute nirvana. During the campaign, we would stay members of the single market, but we had to stop free movement. Guess what? We need people from the EU to come and work here, particularly in some particular seasonal industries. Guess what? Lots of Brits would like to work in the EU and perhaps even retire in the EU. Guess what? George Eustice has just effectively proposed free movement of people, but with bureaucratic knobs on. I mean, we are going back to the future, and it's so frustrating.
What's also frustrating about this is that there's an attempt by both Brexiteers and rejoiners or remainers to cherry pick. Okay, what we can do is we can be part of the single market, but we don't have to be part of the EU. Or we can have a visa system where, you know, we're able to send people to the EU and the EU is able to send people to us. And it's a bit like freedom of movement, but it isn't freedom of movement. Why would the EU sign up to this? The EU supports freedom of movement. Why would it say, yes, okay, we're going to agree a visa scheme with the UK? How does that benefit Europe? It doesn't. It makes more sense for the UK to rejoin the EU. And I've said this before, and it's frustrating to hear this dancing around the reality. The reality is the UK has to rejoin the EU. Then it can become a member of the single market. Then it can have freedom of movement. It has to join the EU first. But this, well, we can ask them to have something like our visa scheme. No, the EU, I don't think is going to go along with something like that. It makes more sense to rejoin because then you're at the table once again. You're making the decisions. The longer the UK stays out, the longer it's going to have to follow the rules, not make the rules. And it's detrimental to the economy. It's driving investment away from Britain. It's making it more difficult for businesses in Europe to export to the UK and vice versa. Staying out has no benefits. We haven't seen any benefits of Brexit. But when it comes to the single market, what are the benefits of being outside the single market but being on its doorstep? You have to grasp this nettle and say, look, we have to rejoin the EU. There has to be a bit more honesty around this. And I'm pointing the finger also at Remainers who are saying, well, maybe we can have a deal like Switzerland or a deal like Norway or New Zealand or Canada or something like that. And we don't have to rejoin because that's going to upset too many people. We need to be honest. If the UK wants to rejoin the single market, it has to, unless something comes along that changes the rules or the reality of the situation, the UK has to rejoin the EU. Then we can talk about the single market. But it's pointless, as I said, being outside the single market. We're seeing all these problems. Not being able to access the workers you need. Not being able to export or import goods in the way things were before. So I think, once again, there has to be a bit of honesty. That's what's lacking in all of this discussion. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.